Will the Committee on Public Infrastructure and Technology please come to order? It is now 3:59. Yes. We want to welcome members, Committee Vice Chair Say, Councilmember Tova, Councilmember Wire, and Councilmember Cordero. There are no members participating remotely by video conference. And I'll give this quick announcement. Pursuant to Section 92-3.1 Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda in two ways, remotely and in person in the council chamber. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed when the agenda item is taken up. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference will be called upon first. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. I will give persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Please utilize the raise hand feature in Zoom to be called on. For those joining us by telephone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Friendly reminders, video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. Once all the remote testifiers have testified, I will proceed to in-person testimony in the council chamber. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to speak following oral testimonies of the registered speakers. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings to be conducted by roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections. If there are any, I will take a roll call vote. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones. Welcome, Chair Waters, to the marathon. Agenda item number 1 for action, Resolution 24265, approving the grant of a perpetual non-exclusive waterline easement to the United States of America Department of Navy to replace and install a new waterline in the intersection of Salt Lake Boulevard and Bougainvillea Drive, TMK 19-9-002 roadway. This was introduced by Chair Waters by request. We have with us the administration, Kei Suzuka, Kei Murakami, and Regina Hugh, if anyone wants to come up. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Regina Hugh. I'm a realty specialist with NAPAC Hawaii, and this is Sei Murakami. He works in our planning, design, and construction department. And on behalf of the Navy, we just want to thank you guys so much for allowing us to present our project requests. Today, we are here to request a perpetual easement to replace and install a new Navy waterline system at the intersection of Salt Lake Boulevard and Bougainville Drive. So just to, you got it? It's not working? Okay. So just to provide a little background on our project, the existing water line is at the end of its design life. It's over 65 years old and extremely deteriorated. If not replaced, it may cause catastrophic breakage and loss of potable water to Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. Also, the current alignment runs through Foster Village housing area, which makes it very difficult for us to maintain on a regular. So it is imperative that we do get this project underway.
So, hi, Sei Murakami, NAFAC Engineering Systems Command. I'm the design director. So the first figure, I'm just going to briefly go over this. The first figure is the existing easement. So the green, I believe you guys have handouts, right? Okay, the green is the existing water line, and the shade is the existing easements / agreements. One is through the city and the others with the Department of Army. So when designing the new proposed water line, we did take into consideration utilizing the existing easement. However, there are 2 challenges. One, on both sides of the easement, one was an existing Kiko switch, and the other one was a high voltage electrical pole. So we did look at trying to put in the water line within the existing easement, but with these challenges, we are requesting a new easement, which goes on to the next slide, which is in purple. So that the new proposed water line is in purple. The proposed easement is that purple shade. What we're proposing is a trenchless method. So the two blue squares are a receiving and I guess they're called receiving pits. So they're going to send a remote trenchless machine from one pit to the other and pull a casing pipe through that hole, and then the water line will then be pulled through that casing pipe. So this method will reduce any type of impacts, definitely to the pavement. There will be no pavement demolition or restoration. Everything will be totally trenchless. And that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. Council members, let's do questions, and then I'll do some testimony. Go ahead, Council Member Say.
Are there any other utilities?
Within the roadway?
Yes.
Yes, there are. So the good part about this trenchless method is we're going relatively deep. It's like 10 to 20 feet deep. And so we're avoiding all of those existing utilities.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, there is.
And how big is the trench?
The pipe is actually a 30-inch ductile iron class 53 pipe. The casing pipe is going to vary, but it's probably going to be about a 48-inch casing pipe.
Okay, and finally, the warranty or the life of those pipes?
The life of the pipe, so it's going to vary. So those pipes itself, it could be maybe between 30 to 50 years. But in this case, there's a casing pipe. So a casing pipe is going to actually provide additional protection to the water line. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Council Member. Any other questions? Council Member Cordero.
Thank you. First off, thank you very much for this information. I was wondering if this was reported to the neighborhood board of the area.
No, it hasn't, not yet. We will.
Okay, what is the timeline then for starting the work again?
Anticipated construction, we just had a pre-construction meeting with the contractor yesterday. So we're anticipating construction start sometime in March of 2025. Prior to that, yes, the contractor will be required to coordinate with the neighborhood board, Radford High School, and the adjacent neighborhoods, yes.
Okay, so this is my district, and so first time I'm hearing this, but I would have, but I just want to let you know that in this area, because we have Radford High School, plus different accesses to different military housing, both Army, Navy, and on the way to Makalapa and Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. There's a lot of traffic in this area, especially around Makalapa Elementary School and Radford High School. How are you going to mitigate the already heavy backups in the morning and the evenings? And it starts as early as sometimes 2:30, but even noon on Wednesdays or so. So
one of the efforts we're trying to do is trying to coordinate this on the off-peak during the summer for the school. That's one effort. There is going to be no lanes closed on Salt Lake Boulevard since we're doing that trenches method. So, but there will be lanes closed along Bougainville. So there will be a time period where there will be multiple lanes closed, maybe on a 24-hour basis. That's still with the contractor to speak with the neighborhood board on.
okay, thank you. And so the part of Bougainville that's going to be worked on is it's the both city and Navy part of Bougainville and not the state side, yeah? Because there's also state further down by Navy Halakeiki preschool.
And not state. Yeah, not state.
Okay, so, okay. All right, thank you, that helps. If it was further down as well, then I would have further questions, but thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Council Member, and thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions for you now. We'll see if we take any testifiers. If they do, if not, then we'll recommend action. Clerks, is there anyone registered online for testifying?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any people standing by who are not registered?
Chair, there are none.
Are there any people registered in person to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Is there anyone in the room wanting to testify who's not registered? Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys so much. Seeing Is there any further discussion, council members, on this? No? Okay, are we good? Perfect. All right, so for Resolution 2465, the chair recommends that it be reported out for adoption. Is there any discussion, objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, let's move on to agenda item number 2 for discussion. Bill 60, amending portions of Chapter 43, Revised Ordinance of Honolulu 2021, as amended by 1, amending 43-6.2, include accessory dwelling units in the residential sewer service charge customer classification. 2, amending 43.6.6 to remove all information related to non-residential strength surcharges and replace it with information on wastewater disposal charges for waste haulers. 3, amending Appendix 43A to include new sewer service charges, wastewater disposal charges, and to remove extra strength wastewater charges as well as a second customer category. 4, amending 43-10.3 to include accessory dwelling units. 5, amending 43-10.4 to remove references to wastewater strength. And 6, amending Appendix 43C to include new wastewater system facility charges. And we have with us from the administration, Director Bagpop.
Good afternoon, council members. Roger Babcock, Director, Department of Environmental Services, here today for ENV. Along with me today is our Deputy Director, Mike O'Keefe. And so I'm happy to make a presentation for discussion. Just so you know, I also brought visual aids. I have jars of wastewater in this cooler. So if you would allow me to put it up here on the table.
Sure, it's been a long day. Let's use visual aids. As long as these guys are okay with the smell. It's fine.
Okay, so that's just a little visual aid. From left to right is untreated wastewater, primary treated wastewater, and secondary treated wastewater. The 3 taller bottles, those are from Honolulu in Ewa Beach. And the 2 bottles on the right are from the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant, which only has primary treatment. It doesn't have secondary treatment. And that's relevant because secondary treatment upgrade of Sand Island is a really big project that's part of the sewer fee, the reason we need to raise the sewer fees. So for Sand Island, there's just raw wastewater and primary treated, and that's the extent of treatment. So that primary treated water is what goes into the ocean from Sand Island. So if my slides will work here, I'll go ahead and mention, as I always do, that for the public, that toilets are not trash cans, and or is the sink. So in the toilets, we only want 3 P's: poop, pee, and toilet paper. And in the sink, we don't put fats and oils and grease. We solidify those, and we keep all trash out of the sewer system. We send it to H-Power instead, and we turn it into electricity. Okay, so let's do this. See if this is going to work. Doesn't seem to advance. Let me see. Okay, got it. So I'm going to start with a real brief overview. Okay, here we go. All right, so going to give you a short overview. So ENV takes care of wastewater and solid waste. On the wastewater side, we serve a population of 780,000. We have 2,100 miles of sewer pipes, 71 pumping stations, 9 treatment plants, and we treat 96 to 100 million gallons of wastewater per day. We do have 149,000 customer accounts. This takes about 800 people to work in this part of the department. Okay, so some of the challenges that we face right now include on this list here, we have new regulations that we need to meet. We do, of course, have to finish the consent decree. We are dealing with climate change and sea level rise impacts on our facilities now and in the future. We, of course, have aging infrastructure that needs to be replaced and upgraded. And we do have a workforce shortage as well. And we also are working on cesspool conversions. But challenges are good. We like challenges. It's what keeps us going. We get to do analysis. We get to think of solutions. We get to be creative and implement innovation. And so we're okay with these challenges. I want to just mention the consent decree. We've talked about this before. But the consent decree is a formal agreement in federal court with specific requirements that the ENV has to comply with. It was entered on December 17th, 2010, and it's a 25-year consent decree. It goes through 2035. It had 3 pieces to it, which are described below, but basically it's with the Department of Justice, EPA, Department of Health, Sierra Club, Hawaii's Thousand Friends, our Children's Earth Foundation. Those are the litigants, and the city is the defendant. There are 3 parts of the consent decree, 3 phases. The collection system improvements, you see the green check mark on there, those are finished. It was to be done by 2020. The second part was the upgrade of the Honolulu wastewater treatment plant to full secondary treatment, which is the bottles I showed over there. So that's completed, had to be completed by this year, and it was completed. And then the last one is the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant upgrade, which is in progress. It's already started, that upgrade, but we still have 11 more years to get it finished. Okay, just a little bit more about the final phase of the consent decree, which is the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We broke it up into 2 phases. Phase 1 is under construction now. It's 20 million gallons per day capacity, and that's about 50% complete right now. Phase 2 is an additional 70 million gallons a day, so the capacity of the plant is 90 million gallons a day. So we need to have secondary for both, for that whole amount. And we are using, so we are currently in the design phase for the phase 2 project. It has to be completed, construction completed and operational by December 31st of 2035. And it's an expensive project. Altogether, phase 1 and phase 2 are $2.5 billion of work. Okay, so what are the sewer fees now? The current sewer fees are shown in these tables here. There's single family and duplex dwellings, less than 5 units fall in the upper part of that box, and then more than 5 unit, multi-unit dwellings fall in the lower part of the table. The fee is composed of 2 components. There's a fixed charge and a volumetric charge. So the fixed charge stays the same every month, and that is $77.55. It has been that number since July 1st of 2016. The volumetric charge is per 1,000 gallons of water consumed, minus 20% for irrigation allowance. There's a credit given of 20% automatically. The charge per 1,000 gallons after you've taken away the 20% is $4.63 per 1,000 gallons. The average bill is $110.89 right now. That is based on the average water use of 9,000 gallons per month. That's the amount of water that some people use. If you take all the water used in the city and you divide by the number of accounts, you get 9,000 gallons. That's different than the median user. The median use, which means half the customers use less and half use more, is 6,000 gallons per month. So for the 9,000 gallons per month, approximately 70% of all single-family residences use that much or less. So the multi-unit dwellings have a slightly smaller per dwelling unit fixed charge. It's $53.32. That's 80% of the single-family dwelling. But the volumetric charge is the same, $4.63. So currently the average bill for a multi-unit dwelling per unit is $86.65. The next chart shows the non-residential charges. So this is for businesses and anything that's not a single-family or multifamily residence. There's a base charge, which is the same, $77.65 per equivalent single-family dwelling unit, ESDU. The volumetric charge is also the same, $4.63. There's also a metered wastewater discharge for certain industries, and those have the same numbers as well. And if you look down to extra strength wastewater, there's also a extra strength charge for customers who discharge something that is much stronger than regular wastewater. And again, it's the same, these are the same, very similar numbers. So this is the current rates. This is a chart, a graphic which shows the history of rate increases by fiscal year. So you see that there were some rate increases in 2006 through 2017. Those are fiscal years, though. So for example, in 2017, the rate increase was on July 1st of 2016. That's fiscal year 2017. So rates have not been increased since that time. And you can see the sort of the magnitude of increases over time. There were some very large increases in the early 2000s. And it mentions there on the chart that the average annual increase from 2004 through 2025 is 6%. Okay, the next graph, I did want to mention one thing, because folks often ask, including at the neighborhood boards, about how much is residential and how much is non-residential. There are 140,000, I mentioned there was 149,000 accounts. 140,000 or almost 141,000 of those are residential. And about 8,000 are non-residential or, essentially commercial. But the difference in ESDUs and charges are not proportioned that way. So 95% of the accounts are residential, 5% are non-residential, but the revenue is 68% residential and 32% non-residential. And that's because the non-residential uses a lot more water on a per unit basis, essentially. Okay, I don't want to go there yet. All right, here we go. So this is our CIP program, Capital Improvement Project Program, appropriations for 2025 through 2040. So it's a 15-year period. It's different than the rate-setting period, but it kind of encompasses the current work as well as all of the finishing the consent decree work, as well as some years after that we have already really well planned out, and we know what all our projects are through 2040. So what you see on the vertical axis is the cost, that's in dollars, and along the bottom is the fiscal year. One thing to note is over the 15-year period, the total CIP program cost is $10.1 billion. And so that is basically the same as the rail project. It's broken up into different types of work, sewer trunk and pump stations, gravity sewer mains, pump stations and force mains, treatment plants, and program management, planning, equipment, and support. And the other big one, the orange one, is the consent decree work. And so what you see is consent decree work has been going on. You see it's a line there at the bottom on the left side, but then there's this big spike in 2028 and 2029. So that is when we need to appropriate the funds to do the second phase of the Sand Island upgrade. That project alone is $1.8 billion for phase two. Phase one and phase two together is $2.5 billion, but just phase two of the Sand Island project is $1.8 billion, and it's currently in design. So what that means is that we need to raise rates to be able to pay for these things. It's important to note that, as you know, the sewer enterprise is an enterprise fund, so there's a sewer fund, which is separate from the general fund. The sewer fund received funds only from sewer fees, and sewer fees need to be adjusted to match the revenue requirements and the expenses for the sewer enterprise. And what you see here is that there's a large spike in what we need to pay for. Now, we don't pay cash for this project. Instead, we issue debt. So we have sewer, tax-free sewer revenue bonds, just like you have general obligation bonds for the city to do construction projects with. So we pay 25 to 30% cash, and the rest is with debt. And so we're not raising fees to generate $1.8 billion in 2028. We're raising fees just to be able to pay the debt service for the money we need to borrow, which is shown in the next slide. So this kind of shows how we finance our projects. So the debt we issue is 30 years generally, and this shows the revenue requirements, which is net of everything, and you see that it's by year, including the current year, FY25, going out through 2040. So there's operation and maintenance, there's reserves, and there's debt service. And what you see is that currently, debt service is about half of the budget. But as we go into the future, and we need to borrow a lot more money for this one big project, essentially, our debt service is going to increase, and it's going to be more like 60% of the budget. But O&M does go up, and we do have to have reserves for bond covenants, so that's what that is. Okay. So finally, to the proposed rate increases. We're proposing a 10-year package, and the reason for that has to do with the slides that I showed you just before, which was we really want to get through and finish the consent decree work, and that takes the next 10 years, as opposed to getting part way and then having to come back and ask for another rate increase. This will complete that and sort of reset the table for the sewer enterprise. So here are the proposed rate increases. Coming up. Okay, so as has been noted in the public and in the press and everywhere, it's 9% per year in each of the next 6 years. And then it is 8%, 7%, 6%, and 5% in the out years. This will generate all the funds necessary for the revenue projections on the previous slide, which was revenue requirements is this. Okay, so if we do these 9% and then 8% and 7 and 6 and 5, we will generate all the revenue needed to meet those requirements. There's two things that we're also doing. So those are the basic percent increases that are needed, and we're proposing to do two additional things related to the rates, and one is to change the proportions of fixed versus volumetric rates. And so I'll explain that here in a minute, but that would be phased in over 4 years to avoid rate shock for some customers that are high water users who pay more already. We also are introducing a customer assistance program that we plan to fund at $10 million per year. So what I mean by percentage shifting is shown here in this graph. So this is a teeter-totter, which shows volumetric rate on the left and fixed rate on the right. Currently, the teeter-totter shows that about 70 to 75% of the average bill is a fixed charge. And the volumetric charge is very small. It's only about 30% of the bill, 25 to 30%. We're proposing to even out the teeter-totter. And what that means is that your fixed rate doesn't go up as much, but your volumetric rate goes up more in order to get the revenue projection. What this does, we believe this is to improve equity because it gives people the ability, a greater control over their bill. Meaning, if you save water, you save substantially on your bill. Currently, if you use 1,000 gallons less water per month, you would save $4.63. In the future, as you'll see, you could save closer to $20 by saving 1,000 gallons. Okay, so that has to do with equity, and that was as part of a stakeholder advisory group that we've been doing for the last 6 months. That was one of their main things, their concerns, that we improve on equity and affordability. So the Customer Assistance for Residential Environmental Services program that we've named CARES, a couple characteristics here, looking at funding it at $10 million. There would be an income-based qualification, most likely administered through a third-party nonprofit. Eligibility is to be based on household income less than 80% of the AMI. Eligible customers would qualify for a $20 to $25 credit on their monthly fixed charge. They would have to apply and then reapply at some interval, possibly 6 months. It would be first come, first serve with the amount of funds that are available. So that's what we're proposing for that program. And that was also very important to our stakeholder advisory group, to assist those who would be economically challenged. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some actual bills. So what's it actually going to look like in terms of dollars per month? So in this table, it shows what happens when we move to 50% fixed and 50% uniform volumetric rate. And we phase that in over 4 years. So on the left side, you can see we've got single family, multifamily, and non-residential. We've got the monthly rate and the volumetric rate. And then for each of those different customer classes. So you can see it's kind of dark there in the current, as you've seen, $77.55 and $4.63. What happens then is over time, you see that the fixed charge doesn't really go up. It actually goes up a little bit and then it goes down. And in 2028, it's still $74.74. However, the volumetric rate went up to $12. So it went from $4.63 to $12.21. So there you can see how there's a potential to have a bigger impact on your bill if you save on water. So in actuality, you could save a certain amount of water, and in 4 or 5 years from now, your bill would be the same as it is today. And as you move out to 2035, you can see that the volumetric rate goes all the way up to $18.66. So this promotes water conservation, control of your bill, and water conservation, which is important to not just us, but the Board of Water Supply and our water supply in general and the environment. So it is good to reward that, and that is the same way that the Board of Water Supply bills are structured. So this is the this is really to illustrate that 50-50, going from 70-30 to 50-50, and the benefits of doing that. But it also shows you how the fixed rates increase. So for the single-family home, it's going from $77.55 up to $114.21 10 years from now. So the increase is gradual, but it does increase by the percentages in the first table. Okay, so the next one I wanted to show you was, it's important for folks, and this table is on our website, and this flyer that we hand out at all our neighborhood board meetings shows you if for a given amount of water use, everybody has their sewer bill and their water bill, and they can pull it out and look at it. And it shows that if you use 2,000 gallons a month, or 4,000, or 6,000, here all the way up to 30,000, and obviously some people use even more than that, but you can calculate. So it shows you what the bills are going to look like for exactly how much water you use right now. So 2,000 gallons a month is a low water user. They currently pay $77.55, $4.63 per thousand, so that's times 2, and so you get $84.96. Next year, when the rate increase goes into play, they'll be paying $87.65. The year after that, $90.14. And you can see as it continues. So what that means is that their bill's going up about $2 per month for this low water user. And then the increases become a little bit bigger as you go on. But overall, their total increase is 70% over the 10 years.
Per year?
Per month. These are monthly bills.
$2 up per month.
$2 per month, yeah. It goes from $84.96 to $87.65. Can you see that in the...
No, I can see it, but the column on the left says 2024, 2025, 2026. So I can see it going up, but not per month.
That's per month. These are all per month dollar amounts, all the bills. So that's not how much it goes up, that's the actual bill. So it is currently $84.96. Starting on July 1st, it goes up to $87.65. July 1st of 26, it will be $90.14.
Monthly bill.
Monthly bill.
There we go. Yeah.
Yes,
Monthly
these are
bill.
all monthly bills.
Got it. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not an annual. You have to multiply by that 12 to get annual. Yeah. So everything we've talked about so far is all monthly. The fixed rate, $77.55, that's monthly. Okay, next one is a higher water user, 9,000 gallons. That's the average. Actually, 70% of people, but it's the average amount of water. And you can see there, their current bill is $110.89, and it's going to go up about $12 each year. Again, per month each. As the years roll on, it goes up about $12 per month each year on July 1st. And so in the end, in 10 years from now, they're paying more than double, $248. But that's 10 years from now. And there's one more here, which is a really high water user. Only 2% of people use this much water. And you can see that their bill goes up a lot more. And that's because of that compounding effect of the higher volumetric water charge. So if you're a really high water user and you don't start conserving water, your bill's going to go up a lot. And that is what the intention of that switch is. And that is the same way, again, that the Board of Water Supply does their bill, and it encourages you to use less water because you do have a choice. Okay, the last graph that I have is non-residential. And there's 3 specific examples here: a very large shopping center, an office building, and a hotel. And so this gives you some information. They're just sort of randomly chosen, but you can see that their bills are going to go up. And this shows the percentages that they go up. And so it really depends on how much water they use and how many ESDUs they have. So the large shopping center, they use 9.7 million gallons of water per month. They have 1,930 ESDUs, which means essentially like 1,930 houses. Okay, and you can see their bill is fairly large, $185,000 and $185,781, and it's going to increase. And over the 10-year period, and the far right compounded increase is 96.9%. Then there's the office building. They use 904, a little less than 1 million gallons. Their bill's $15,000 now. They only have 154 ESDUs. And that has to do with the type of use that it is. But you see over time, their bill actually goes up 105%, because it's all about the ratio of how much volume you use versus how many ESDUs you have. And a hotel is per room. There's 405 units in this. They use 11 million gallons, 11.6 million gallons per day. Their current bill is $74,000, but it's going to go up a lot because they use a lot of water relative to the number of ESDUs. So it's going to go up 195% over that 10-year period. I have more examples, available if you folks want to see them sometime. I wanted next to talk about public outreach, and I'll try and go through this quick. One of the things I wanted to mention is we did put together a stormwater wastewater advisory group. We call that SWAG, and this was their roadmap. They started meeting in May, and they've met monthly, and you can see the things that they did during that time. They learned about what we do. They learned about the rate structure attributes, then the revenue requirements, how we set rates. Then we looked at the rate structure, the potential to include the stormwater charge, affordability programs, rate structures, more on that. Then looked at rate modeling results, sample bills, and a rate proposal. And then we tried to address a bunch of questions and refinements, and that's how we got to 50/50. And then we did the proposed rate increase and customer affordability program in October. Okay. The feedback we got from them was clear. They did not want us to have an entirely fixed charge. That would mean the average use right now is $110.89. So we would say everybody pays that. Doesn't matter how much water you use. 2,000 gallons or 30,000 gallons, your bill's $110. That's a fixed system. And it would have to be based on the average, typically. But that would be really good for some people and very unfair for others. So that's one extreme. The other extreme is you have a totally volumetric charge, which is what the Board of Water Supply does. But both of those result in rate shock. So we decided that an important thing was to not have a fixed charge, but we wanted to give customers more control over their bill. And that's how we got to the 50/50 from 70/30. It was important to support water conservation. That was very important to our stakeholders. We wanted to avoid rate shock, which means we want to smooth out the rates so that over the 10 years. And we wanted to ensure, of course, that we have our minimum operating expenses, that we can meet those. And we wanted to be able to provide public education materials on rate structures. So that's really the feedback that we got. So let me show you about the public outreach activities that we've done. So the first thing we did is we did some briefings with the council members. That was September 26th through October 4th. We made an announcement to all neighborhood boards through the Neighborhood Board Commission on October 10 and told them to put it on their agendas. We requested ENV presentation at all neighborhood boards. We asked for that for October through January. We did a press conference with all the TV stations on October 23rd. There was a Living 808 show on KHON on October 24th. There was a One Oahu podcast also on October 24th.
Director, we just have a couple more minutes so we can read through this.
Okay,
Anything
you're good.
else?
We're almost there. And so there's the Star Advertiser. We introduced the bill, and we did a tour recently. We have it on our webpage, and we have it on the social media sites as well. The next slide just shows the neighborhood board meetings we had been through so far. We were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in October, and we were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in this month, and we have 2 more scheduled in December on the 4th and the 5th, and 2 so far scheduled in January on the 13th and the 22nd. In addition to that, we have some town hall meetings. We did our first one already, November 18th. That was in Kapolei. And we have 5 more scheduled, as shown these dates and locations. The next one is December 3rd, and then there's 2 more in December and 2 in January. And those are all posted on our website and on social media. The final slide pretty much is an account of some of the media coverage that we've had. So those are links and documents to all of the different TV and newspaper media articles on the subject, including the initial announcement was front page of the Advertiser. Final slide here really is a feedback received from public outreach. There is a general concern about the rate increase and the compounded rate increases over the rate setting period, the 10 years. There is an amazing amount of understanding about the need for the rate increases. Nobody really questions that. There is a lot of interest in the rate proportion shift and what that would mean for their bills. People like to see how much their bill is going to go up, and they don't seem to have too much concern about that. And there's a lot of interest in that in the CARES program. So I kind of went through that quick because I know we started late, but I'd be happy to answer any questions and hear what other testimony there is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director. Thank you for the visual aids. Thank you for the PowerPoint. Council members, questions? Go ahead, Chair Waters.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this presentation. Thank you, Chair, for having this on your calendar today. So as I understand it is that phase 2 is what's left, and that's going to cost $1.8 billion. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, how much money do we currently bring in per year from these ratepayers?
The exact number,
I mean, if
So
you,
this, it's 465 million.
465 million. And this, again, this is for debt service, right? You said 25% of this $465 million is used cash, and the rest is for debt service?
So about half, about 220 to 230 million is debt service, and
Yeah.
the rest is, the other 220 or 230 million is other operating expenses,
So what you're
labor, wages, yeah.
But what you're proposing over the next 10 years, you're going to generate enough revenue to raise 1.8 billion?
Yeah, good question. So no, the revenue will, because the revenue projection needs are that this needs to more than double. The amount coming in per year will be a little more than double than this, so call it $1 billion per year in 10 years from now. And as the revenue requirement graph showed, we'll be issuing a lot more debt, and so our debt service is going to increase. The operating expenses don't increase very much. It's basically just inflation, 3% per year. But the debt service is really what increases. So we are not generating, we're not going to pay for that project with cash. We're going to pay for it with debt, and then we have to retire the debt over 30 years.
And this is just for phase 2 of the Sand Island treatment plant. We're not even talking about the transmission lines and these breaks that we get periodically, right? We're just talking 1.8 billion for phase 2 of Sand Island.
That is correct. So the 1.8 billion is that one project cost. The cost for everything else is 10.1 billion. So the total is 10.1 billion over the 15 years. Not the 10 years, but the 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said the average ratepayer uses about 9,000 gallons a month.
That's
By the
correct.
10-year period, you said the bill would double. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. We're talking a monthly payment of probably $250 plus a month just for water and sewer, right?
Just for sewer alone.
Just for sewer alone is $250. Then you add on how much you have to pay for water. So say water is $50. So you're talking about a $300 bill per month, right? I mean, to me, that's the part that you got to go out there and tell everybody. By the way, in 10 years, you're going to be paying $350. That's the part, right? This whole explanation today is great, and we understand it, but I think that's what people want to know. Ultimately, what they got to pay. Because once you hear you got on $300 a month payment, right? We're talking about food, we're talking about your gas for your car, insurance, and everything like that. People are gonna wanna know, that's what they gotta pay for water, right? Water and sewage. But, so, next question. How can we mitigate this charge? Have you been working with the administration to figure out where we can do cost cutting and where we could take money that's currently in the $3.4 billion budget and put some of that towards this problem? Because ultimately, there is a consent decree and we gotta get it done. I do want to talk for a minute about possibly getting a waiver from the federal government under the new administration. We might be able to do it, right? And save a couple billion, you know, as crazy as that sounds, I think it's possible. But what can we do, and the budget season's coming up, to figure out where we can take money from the existing budget and put it towards the sewer fund? I'm just looking at vacancy, the vacancy positions, right? That's like 30 or 40 million. But how much more you need per year? I guess it would help if you break down how much revenue more you're going to generate each year. Yeah, I know you said by the end of the 10 years you're going to get 400, double this 465. But how much money do you need to generate each year? And then maybe that's our job to go find it for you.
Yeah, so let me just address your first comment, and that was letting people know what their bill is. So all the things I've shown you here in terms of the bill for the average person, it's on this flyer, and it's very clear that in July 1st of 2034, the average bill is going to be $248.53.
For sewer only.
Everyone, for sewer only.
Yeah.
Everyone at the public meetings sees that. and they know. They don't ask questions about that. They understand that number.
Wait, do you actually point it out, or you just put it on the flyer and slip it on their desk?
Absolutely. No, we go through the presentation, go through everything on here, tell them this is what your bill's going to be. And we also point to that table that I showed you and point out that if you only use 2,000 gallons a month, your bill goes up from $84.96 to $144.07.
Just for the sewer.
Just for the sewer.
But
Everything
you add
is
on the
just for sewer.
water, right?
Yeah.
At 2,000 gallons per month, what's your water bill going to be?
I don't have that information. That's the Board of Water Supply.
Okay.
They have a rate increase over the next 5 years.
Right. So I'm
and
paying $6.35 per gallon, but I'm a low water user.
I know you are, yes. You're in that 2,000 category.
Right. But still, I mean, for other people, just save $50 or more plus the sewer fee, right?
That's correct, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
No, but okay, got that part.
Yeah.
But what can we do to figure out how to lower this, or how to find money in the existing budget to help you? Have you looked at that? Have you dealt with Andy Kawano on this?
No, so since we're a utility, the way we do the funding is the same way the Board of Water Supply does. So since we have an enterprise fund, we calculate the revenue requirements, which is this graph that's shown here.
Right.
It considers operation and maintenance costs, inflation, expansion of facilities, including the Sand Island facility where we need more people, and we hired more people for Honolulu when we expanded that. We have additional electricity costs associated with that. We have other compliance that we have to do. We have to add disinfection at Waianae. We have to add disinfection at Honolulu. We're already adding disinfection right now at Kailua. We have other regulations that change. So our operating permits are good for 5 years from the Department of Health, and they renew every 5 years, and every time there's additional requirements, and a lot of times it requires additional projects. The graph before this does show that the capital projects includes everything that you mentioned. It's not just Sand Island, it is all the other construction projects needed for sewers, pump stations, the collection system, force mains, and everything is in there. In terms of finding money from somewhere else, again, that's not the philosophy. So first we figure out the revenue requirements, and then we figure out the fees that are needed to generate those revenue requirements, because it's considered a self-sustaining enterprise. That doesn't mean that money could not be, transferred in from somewhere else. And I did want to point out, and I think we've talked about this before, that we do get an average of $55 million a year of federal money for our construction projects.
I'm sorry, how much from feds?
55 million.
55 million.
Yeah. But our annual construction budget's around 400 million or something like that, 300 to 400 million.
Well, I guess my next question is, sorry, Chair, I don't want to monopolize this, but
It's okay, you're asking all the questions I was going to ask, so go ahead.
Thank you. So have you looked into asking the federal government for more help? I mean, since they were the ones who are making us do this.
So for the consent decree work,
Yeah.
yes. So, well, we haven't asked them for money.
Have you talked
we've
to the
asked them-
federal delegation, Senator Schatz and Senator Hirono and Case and Tokuda?
No,
for
we
help?
haven't done.
No?
We have not
May
done that,
I
no.
suggest you do. What about the state? We have the general excise tax. Can we add a little bit onto that to help pay for this?
We haven't asked that question.
Okay. What might help also, I'm not going to go through it today, but I think people want to know exactly what they get. I know easy, you showed us, you get clearer water, but I think they want to know exactly what they're paying for. Like, why does it cost $1.8 billion, right? Like how labor parts, when I got my radiator fixed last week, they told me exactly how much it was going to cost in labor, how much my thermostat cost, how much the radiator cost, how much the radiator cap was $19 for a radiator cap. But same thing. At least they told me. I was blown away how much it cost me $1,200 to change my radiator. But people want to know, you're going to raise my sewer fee. Where's this money going? And again, we don't have time to do this today, but certainly I think that would be helpful. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you. And I do believe when we're talking in the billions, if we have not exhausted every single avenue before we go to the residents of our county, then we haven't done our job. We have to exhaust every avenue, asking our federal partners, state, if every single person tells us no, then we come back to this. But there's no way that we can get to the billions of mark by ourselves off the backs of people here in Hawaii on top of the water increases. So I appreciate the presentation you gave. Council members, other questions? Council member Say.
So Director Babcock, in your presentation, it states that from the year 2018 to 2025, no increases. Why did we not try to anticipate the increase in the phase 2 of Sand Island as part of maybe going, instead of in 2017 it was 8%, that we could have gone 4% for that period in time. The 6 years out, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. What,
Yeah, thanks for the question. So I think, if rates had even, a couple of percent per year would have made the current rate increases that we're proposing smaller. I'm not sure why, that wasn't done at the time. I think from COVID times, it would have been really difficult to do that, and the recovery period is just, I guess we're kind of at the end of that. But at this point, basically doing the revenue, the projections needed, we just can't wait any longer. If you do, then you have larger increases. And because of the timing of the consent decree, we have to do the project and finish it by 2035. And there's no excuse. You can't go back. The judge agreed to, it's in federal court, agreed to a timeline and gave the city 25 years. So you got 25 years, figure it out, was basically what they agreed to. And so you're right, if they'd done some other increases sooner, then they would be smaller now.
And the other question would be, can we not go before the judge again to ask for another 25 year? How's that?
No, as from what we know, no, that's not possible. So past administration, this administration, the last administration, the one before that, and one before that, all looked at it. Corporation Counsel and outside counsel has advised that, nope, this is a signed agreement, and it has stipulations that things will be done by certain dates, and everybody signed it. And so it has to be done. Can't reopen it.
Just one final question. In all of these federal monies that we got during COVID, with this federal infrastructure appropriation for the state of Hawaii, how much did we get that we could have used that for the sewer projects? Or where did it go? The infrastructure money for the state of Hawaii. I don't know. I mean, it's the state that controls everything, right? As far as the allotment to all the 4 counties. But for Oahu, that's why I get so frustrated. We are the engine of the state of Hawaii. We are the ones that generate the capital for and the revenues for the state of Hawaii, Oahu. And now we're going to be saddled with this increase, which, I agree with you. I don't want the kukai to back up in my toilet. And I've seen it with the Cal Highway one. They had the big blowout. Before they had that rubber pipes. But all I'm getting at is, boy, Director, I'm not being upset at you, but boy, I give you a lot of credit because after this next week already, you're going to decide where the landfill is. Another 1.5 billion. I don't, all I'm saying, where is the money going to come from? And that's where we're here to try to pick your brains, and you can pick our brains. And that's why I said, federal money, I thought we had some money for the federal infrastructure funds. Was it for our roads? And then, and you remember 4 years ago, I helped you and Mr. Wakamoto at the neighborhood boards in regards to the stormwater utility fee. For East Honolulu, it's just decaying, the pipes. And that is another concern. But I'm voicing my concern because I'm just wanting to make you aware and the members of the council of all of these anticipated costs to our general public at large and how we can really try to address it. And that's it.
No, I agree. I mean, I think we had these conversations during ARPA is why we wanted to chime in with the money, because we had access to money we could have applied to this, even a small amount, or even in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 1% or 2%. I'm just saying, it's always like, what, hindsight is 2020, so we get it. But at the end of the day, there's definitely this huge benchmark to hit, and we're trying to hit it in a short amount of time. I would disagree that we can't go back to the courts. I think if you look at it and you say, okay, the odds are bad, that's one thing to look at the odds, but it's another thing to actually approach the administration and or file some type of waiver for it, of which San Diego did get a waiver from the secondary treatment. So again, if we fail, we fail, but if we didn't try, then what? You miss 100% of shots you don't take. So anything, Councilmember Tolba?
Totally agree. We might as well do whatever we can. So, I don't know, maybe we might need to talk to our friends across the street, do resolutions, do whatever we can to twist the arm, because we got to take this to our community. We got to explain why in 10 years, a lot of the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, going to have a hard time. So I agree. Thank you.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, I just wanted to follow up with Chair Toba. It was your state senator who came over here and said he opposes the conversion of the cesspools. Right? Director Babcock. And I said, it was you guys that mandated the county
With no funding,
with no funding.
just
Right.
saying.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Director Babcock. I know you're in a tough position, but as Councilmember Say pointed out, I'm really afraid to, with the next announcement about the landfill. But, on your slide deck, it says here that the consent decree was entered with the EPA, Department of Health, Sierra Club, Hawaii's Thousand Friends, and Oahu's Children Earth Foundation. So I don't even know if that exists anymore, but you're saying you absolutely cannot reopen this, but I disagree. I think it's worthwhile, as Chair Tupola pointed out, that it's worthwhile at least talking to the EPA once the new administration comes on board. The Sierra Club, I think we could cut a deal, say, hey, look, we'll convert all the cesspools. That would be way cheaper. They might agree to that, the Sierra Club. And if they're listening, I'll call them. You should call them Hawaii Thousands Friends. To me, that's probably causing a worse problem right now. And then remember, Chair Wire brought in a group of engineers maybe a year ago who were in the wastewater treatment, they're all retirees, saying, hey, look, let's just pipe this out further, and then that should solve the problem. But anyway, we got to look at everything possible.
No, I agree. I totally agree that an attempt should be made. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Director Babcock, clarification on the San Diego exemption. Was it from was it for the exemption, or what was it exactly for? So that we can research more.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Council Member. It was actually on May 24th, let's see, at the Housing Sustainability and Health Committee last year, May 2023, where there was a presentation, and then I gave a long presentation on the consent decree, its timeline, kind of all the facts about it, the litigants, what's required, as well as the history of the Clean Water Act,
I'm sorry.
and how the requirements came about.
Sorry, Director Babcock, I was asking about, there was mention earlier.
About San Diego, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to get to that. So San Diego was part of that. And I can give you a little bit more information about San Diego. So San Diego is a little different than Honolulu. They do have a waiver. So they're the only city that still has a waiver, in the United States. Honolulu does not have a waiver. Honolulu gave up the waiver when they signed the consent decree. And what happened in San Diego is they have one treatment plant that their main treatment plant that's primary only is called Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant. And they needed to do a program that's called Pure Water San Diego, PWSD. The reason is that they have a water supply issue. So the secondary requirement would have required them to upgrade their Point Loma treatment plant, which is in a very, very small footprint, and then discharge secondary treated water into the ocean. But what they needed was they needed more drinking water. So they put together a plan to capture water upstream and treat it to drinking water quality levels and put it into their drinking water supply reservoirs. So that's very, very expensive. And so they needed to use the water for something else and not discharge it. And so then what they agreed to do was to treat just with primary treatment at Point Loma to a level such that the amount that they discharged, because it's less flow now because they're taking it for drinking water, and they're removing some of the solids in BOD, wouldn't be the same amount of pounds as if they had upgraded to secondary treatment. Wasn't their argument, and their argument was not that we can't afford it. The argument was we need to do something different with the water, and that's what we're planning to do. And so they do still have a waiver. All waivers are like all other permits. They're the only one that has it, but all permits are for 5 years. So they have a waiver that they have to renew every 5 years. If they don't continue to make progress and do what they actually said they were going to do, then their waiver will be revoked and they'll have to upgrade, to secondary. As part of that requirement, they have to remove on their advanced primary plant, which is what Sand Island is. They have to do a really high removal. They have to remove almost 90% of the total suspended solids and 58% of the BOD. Our Sand Island treatment plant with advanced primary removes 30% of BOD, and that's best technology, and about 70% of suspended solids. So we're not sure exactly how they're going to do it. They're not doing it yet. They're working on it. They don't have that plant built yet.
Thank you, Director. I think she got her answer. Yeah, we're good. Just real quick, and we'll end this. On that page that says monthly rates in dollars when it has single family, multifamily, non-residential, and I get it that you guys said there's 4 years and then there's going to be this jump. This chart to me just, honestly, the math just does not make sense to me. And I heard what you said, but this is the kind of thing we're going to have to take to our community and try to explain that you went from $7,783 to $77.52, $76.53, $74.74. Then you go to $81.47, then $88.80, then you go up to $95.90. I'm just saying, I understood what you said. I get the math, but this is not going to make sense to anybody. So I think I want to work with you guys to just kind of make this like a little bit more digestible, because this was, like Chair Waters said, we might have understood a little bit of this, but this is still hard. I mean, pretty hard to like digest through exactly what we're trying to do and how we're calculating it. But we hear what you're saying. We have infrastructure we got to improve. So we thank you, Director, for your time, and thank you for being here. Okay, members, I know it's like 5:05. Holy smokes. Okay, we have one more item of agenda, but if you need to go, take off. Thank you. We have agenda item number 3, update by Oahu Transit Services, June 2024 cyber incident that impacted services provided by the bus. Director Morton, I wish I had like a prize for you. Oh, sorry, 1 second, Director, you can stay right there. I'm gonna see if there's anyone still online to take testimony for a discussion point for Bill 60. Yes? Okay, we'll take any in-person, online testimony.
Yes, Councilmember Tapola.
Hi, Donald.
Yeah, Donald Sakamoto for the record. As a Kaneohe resident for 62 years and a blind individual on fixed income, I heard Director Babcock talked about the increases. In fact, he's going to be at our Kaneohe Neighborhood Board meeting later tonight to brief us about this. I'm concerned that, like you were discussing, there should be federal funds. In May of 2024, Biden and Harris gave $41 million to grants to apply for sewer infrastructure and drainage. So I wish that we can do that more. But concerned about the Sand Island plant, if we had a major earthquake, 8 point something or whatever, and we had tsunami, that thing will get wiped out. So I don't know why it's so close to the shoreline and not more inland and have the pipes going out to take the water out, the wastewater out that's treated. But that's another subject. But as I look at this situation, it's going to be very hard for people who are renting, the people on HUD, the people who are renting 1,400 going up to maybe 1,500, 1,600 for an apartment a month because of the sewer rates and the water rates and the electric rates and everything else. So
Yeah.
please look at it, council members, about
will.
that. Thank you.
I'll continue to work with them. Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. And I do think we have in person Frank Doyle. Oh, is he here? I'm so sorry. I know you've waited this whole time to testify. Please come.
You have my name, so I won't get into that. But I am a member of the stakeholders sewer fee advisory group. And, you know, this whole business, you've taken away my testimony, by the way. So, but I will like to just say, I think some of the water's clearing up in the one bottle. The reason why we do things is because we look at the benefit associated with doing things. And the benefit that we're going to get from spending $1.8 million is practically getting nothing in benefit, because presently we discharge our sewage in a deep ocean outfall, approximately 2 miles offshore at a depth of 300 feet. And there's been a lot of studies done about what has been the impact, both in public health and environmental flora and fauna in that area, both near shore waters and at the outfall in Mamala Bay. And there really hasn't been any real connection between public health issues, environmental issues, and that discharge. So spending $1.8 million, what are we mitigating? If we're getting anything more, it's got to be very, very slight. There's no way you can justify that cost. And you're right about San Diego. Of course, San Diego did get what they got. What we would have to do is to go back to Congress through our delegation and get the Clean Water Act modified to allow us to keep us from discharging secondary treatment. I think our argument is greater than the arguments that were presented in San Diego, because what is the purpose of treating wastewater? Public health and impact on the environment. You're not going to get much more for this $1.8 million.
1.8 billion.
1.8 billion. I know I was going to say that too. I should have remembered. But in any case, there are things that we need from the sewer fee. So we've got to go ahead with a sewer fee, but maybe we cannot go ahead with so much. And maybe we can now make that effort that's required, that I hear everybody saying, to try and reduce those costs. This is the big one. I don't know, there may be others.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Doe. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Clerks, is there anyone else online that's trying to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, any other in person? Go ahead, Angela.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. So I'm learning so much from the prior generation, you know. Yeah, and so like the oceans, water resources, and pollution and water management is so important. Yeah, like nowadays, like we have like EV Kapuna, and you realize like those things from the prior generation were not something that they like had like standards and things for. So, okay, so due to the state's reliance on ocean recreation and marine life, the Clean Water Act plays a critical role in protecting coral reefs and other sensitive ecosystems from pollution, keeping water clean and healthy for generations to come. Preserving it and managing it with this new rate structure, I think is really good. Thank you for the analysis. And to set new rates is so fun to learn about in support of the new wastewater system facility charges, because it impacts the environment, and also excessive usage leads to excessive consumption in industrial and commercial processes. And
Okay, thank you, Angela. I appreciate it. We're so far behind.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, the update by Oahu Transit Services. Director Morton, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. I had a 5-page presentation, but I will economize it quite a bit.
Just say every other word. We'll get there.
But I just first I wanted to acknowledge that our partners that are here. First of all, Robert Yu, the president of Oahu Transit Services, is here. He has some staff. I have some staff too that are also here. They're all hungry too. They want to go home. But I want to just give you the big picture, first of all, from a DTS perspective, and then I'll ask Robert to summarize many of the things that they have done to try to keep cybersecurity in it. So first, from just from DTS's perspective, we have a number of data systems that we operate or have operated for us. First and foremost, we have our OTS system, which they operate themselves. They're not part of the city system. They have their own IT department. They have cyber professionals within that group. Beyond that, we have our HoloCard system. That's the one that is operated by, it's an INIT system. It's operated by INIT. It is operated around the globe. It has lots of cybersecurity built into it. Then we have our Hitachi Rail system, which is a very comprehensive data system that keeps our trains running without an operator. You can imagine the infrastructure that's required to do that. We operate all of our parking meters with an outside vendor. Those are all connected to through data systems. We have a very sophisticated traffic signal control system, which goes around the island and controls all the traffic signals. The one thing about that particular system is it is not connected to any other system. It's not part of the internet or anything like that. So we do have lots of those things. We have a lot of third-party systems, which I won't go into. But at this time, what I would like to do, and I'll answer questions of any questions, but at this point, what I'd like to do is I know we've had 2 data breaches with OTS, one in 2021 and one in 2024. They were not unusual. I mean, the federal officials would come and would tell us stories that unfortunately we're not allowed to recount, but basically, the bottom line was that that OTS was one of many institutions that have been targeted. They were breached twice. There was a third time when that the system went down. That was because of something that they were trying to do to improve cybersecurity. But without going into it, I'll be here to answer any questions, but I'd like to ask Robert to come up and concentrate on the things that OTS has done to make sure that we do the best we can to protect the data that we have in our systems.
Good afternoon, Chair Tupola, members of the committee. So I'll just go through real quick, just summarize what happened and also what we did since and restore all the important functions and features of our network. So some of the critical systems were up and operating by 8 a.m. in the morning, and by noontime for paratransit services, the mission critical systems, which are the reservation system, the dispatch system, and the scheduling system, it was all functioning properly by noontime. And for fixed route, which is our bus system, by 9 p.m. the next day, which is Saturday, the system was up and running. And I think Director Morton alluded to that the HoloCard system is operated and managed by outside organizations. So the bus really doesn't have any involvement in running the HoloCard system. Because of that, we had to work with, a number of vendors to get the bus validators working, and more importantly, to get the data transmitted to the HoloCard system and to the city and county properly. So that took about 2 weeks to get it up and running. So in the meantime, the validators were not working, so we were not, or whoever's running Holo card is not able to collect the money. So I think of all the things, other than having a new firewall, adding additional cyber monitoring security features, training our employees on the importance of looking at the email and making sure it's the proper email, that you recognize the sender, all those things, going through cyber training, and really just do a better job monitoring the firewall and the network system. I think looking at the design or the data transmission path from the Holo card system to the city and county, should anything happens like that in the future, I think it would reduce the likelihood of losing fare revenue for 2 weeks. And it's really the cash fare, the daily passes. The monthly passes are probably going to be okay because you're paying it for the whole month, right? But it's really the opportunity cost that you would miss, that people would want to buy it, but they can't buy it, right? So that's one of the bigger takeaways. It's not a security thing, it's really an operational efficiency thing. Let's see, so what else are we doing other than putting in new firewalls and whatnot? What we're looking at now is looking into a product that would recognize an email sender, a first-time email sender, to our network. And we would, the software would send a message to the first-time sender asking for verification before the email could come through our system. And we think that's one of the better security features that we want to look at. But one of the most important thing we're doing now is what we all heard of multi-factor authentication. And that's one of the things that we have been rolling out. It's going to the office staff. Any employees working remotely need to have MFA. And it's also one of the important features for us to be able to qualify to buy cyber insurance, should we one day want to buy cyber insurance. So anyway, I know it's like late in the afternoon. I'll stop there and I'll answer whatever questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Yu. Thank you, Director. Council members, any questions? Now, just real quick question. How much revenue did we lose?
About $100,000.
And with this possible insurance you're going to get, in the event that happens again, would they cover the loss?
It all depends on what the exclusions are. We have not really.
Are you guys going to get the insurance or no?
Well, as soon as we get our MFA implemented fully, then we will look into it. We've been looking into it for the last couple insurance cycles, but yeah.
Did it come through an email? Is that why you keep talking about opening emails? Is that how the cyber attack happened?
The first cyber breach came through our email server.
Oh.
The second one came through what we call our SQL server, which hosts our in-house applications. So applications that are not hosted in-house were not affected.
Understood. Thank you. Clerks, do we have anyone online wanting to testify?
We have Donald Sakamoto.
Okay, Mr. Sakamoto, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. For the record, Donald Sakamoto. I'm a strong advocate for public transportation. Regarding the cyber attack, we had our Honolulu Rate Commission on October 8 last month. Director Roger Morton gave a presentation about the cyber attack. He mentioned about $300,000 for lost revenue. So I'm kind of worried about, that much money was lost in that 2-week time, as well as the handy van. I had people calling me, since I advocate, that when the system was down, they still had to pay. I know that if the tablet wasn't working, they have to either use a ticket or $225 cash, but that caught some people off guard who weren't prepared for paying without using their holocard in the hand event. So kudos for you for allowing you to have a hearing on my request to have this meeting. But there is on Wow Transit, there's a board of directors, and they're a 501c4. I think the board of directors should be told to oversee this also. I haven't heard anything from the board, but I appreciate Robert you for talking about what happened and Director Martin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. We know that you are a staunch city council supporter, so I wanted to make sure to have this for you. Any last comments from the administration? No, OTS, DTS?
No, not from me.
Yeah, I appreciate all of you guys for staying, and I want to thank our wonderful clerks here. Yay, good job, guys. Yes, OCS, thank you for being here. Everyone for our support, Olelo, everybody who stayed late, we appreciate you very much. Okay, guys, with no other further business, we now adjourn this meeting.